Hey guys, so here is another diagnosis series. This one's a little bit different because this is about how I am a survivor. I am a stage 3 pre-cervical cancer survivor, which is technically called CIN 3, C-I-N. There's some are about stages and levels. Technically it's CIN 3, but we'll just say stage 3, so it's a little bit more understandable to you guys. You also might be thinking, pre-cancer? Once I get into it, it'll make more sense, being that it is a little complicated and many think that there should be a just a stage 3 cancer survivor. But mine is a pre-cancer survivor, and we'll get into that very soon. I also wanted to discuss my stage 4, and it is actually stage 4, it's not CIN, stage 4 endometriosis survivor. So I started getting my period back when I was 12 years old, I believe. I'm almost positive. Yeah. And my periods were excruciating, and many say that they're painful. My friends to this very day say it's painful. I know we're not supposed to compare each other, but I have no other way of doing this. I guess comparing is the only way I can do this. So I had really bad periods, and my periods were so bad that I would leave school every time I had my period. Typically the first and second day. After about the second day, it got better enough that I was able to go to school. The older I got, the more I've learned how to control the pain, when to start medications, how many milligrams to start, what kind of medications, etc. So by the time I was around, I guess 18-ish, the pain was so bad that I felt like I was going to faint. You would find me naked in the fetal position, rocking back and forth in the bathroom, on the floor. It was really bad. It was so bad that ambulance came to my high school and had to pick me up off the ground in front of the whole school. I wasn't like in a classroom, which is enough children to be in front of in general, but I was in the main entrance. Yeah, so it was really bad. I started to see like an OBGYN on a more frequent basis, and they all said that, it's normal. Some people just have worse pains than others. But my dad he was very annoyed and also probably worried because I was skipping school once a month for up to 4 days in a month just from my period pains. I mean, like suicidal type of pains I was receiving. So eventually the pains, I kind of learned how to control them at in early adult years, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then by the time I was around 23, I was waking up in pain. I was holding my stomach. Something wasn't right. I just felt like there was someone lighting a match inside of my cervix. So I started going to a local hospital at the time, and they did what you call LEEP surgeries, or procedures, not surgeries. L-E-E-P. It stands for something, I'm not exactly sure. You may want to look it up, but just put LEEP procedure. And they basically use a machine, and they go inside you, and they basically burn off whatever you may have. So if you have some cysts, things like that. They also will burn anything that you may have on your walls. Not exactly sure, but I remember it smelled like burning flesh. So I did have several of those procedures, maybe like 5. I'm not exactly sure. I remember I had to wear a pad for a couple days after, and it was very uncomfortable, things like that. I may be getting this number wrong, but I had about 8 cysts within that time of having all those leaps, and they were also burning off some other stuff. They didn't see anything wrong with me at the time until I kept going back. It's been like now over a year that I've been going, and they're like, yeah, you keep developing cysts and things like that. And then they realized that not only did I have all these cysts, That was like my cervix, places like that. I also had like a development of pre-cervical cancer that they said they probably just missed because it was just very small. So I want to kind of post either like right here on the screen, or I might even do a split image of what the stages are for cancer, for cervical cancer. So if you see, there's at the bottom of, I guess, like more of the opening, there's a little white or pinkish area, and that is where the cancer is building up. And then there's the stages, or Sin 1, Sin 2, and Sin 3. So I was in so much pain, and it only made sense because I was on the road, the path of having full cervical cancer. So in the very beginning, after seeing it, they decided to diagnose me with Sin 2, which is stage 2. And they we put me on medications. I had to see different kinds of doctors to clear it up. But they noticed that I was progressing very fast. And within just a couple of months, if I remember, it might even be just a month, I progressed to Sin 3, stage 3, pre-cervical cancer. So they knew they had to act fast because of my situation. And because I developed I went from Sin 2 to Sin 3 so quickly, faster than most. Typically it takes several months, 6, 7, 8 months, you know, maybe even a couple years, not a month to go from Sin 2 to Sin 3. They knew they had to act very fast. And so we did all the treatments and procedures possible to clear that. And it was very successful. I do want to say that when you have Sin 3, that is the last stage before cancer is developed. And when you get stage 3 or Sin 3, you know, it could take even a week, but it's rare. It takes, you know, a little bit longer to kind of progress into cancer. But I was moving so quickly that they felt that had they left that stage 3, Sin 3 for too long, meaning even like a couple of weeks, I would have progressed so quickly that I would have had cervical cancer. So we've done several more LEAP procedures, and there was one other procedure that we did twice. And I don't remember what it was called. Unfortunately, it's been so many years now. This all happened when I was about 24, 25. Which means it was about 10 years ago, as I am 34 now. But we were able to clear it, and I am now here, and I'm alive. And yes, it wasn't cancer, so it's really hard to say that you are a survivor, but at the same time, I am truly a survivor because every one of my doctors, and I had many, didn't give me much hope if they had left that Sin 3 or Sin 2 or Sin 3 pre-cancer like in me, because I was going so quickly, progressing so fast, that they knew with all their heart in under a month, even closer to a couple weeks, I would have had full-blown cancer. And then, you know, there's more steps with that, and this was an easy cleanup, but still fairly scary, because who knows, even if they waited that one extra day, or if I got sick and I had to cancel my appointment and go in a day later or a week later, that who knows if it would have developed into cancer. So I am truly still a survivor, and I am so glad that I pushed and pushed because of the pain I had, and the doctor saying that it's just, you just have bad, you know, periods, like women have it. I know people who go into the hospital for a whole week, and I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and they just believe that's all it was. But I pushed for well over a year until they really seen something. Alright, so I want to now kind of move along and talk to you about my stage 4 endometriosis. I want to tell you what endometriosis is, but for some reason it's harder for me to explain, so I'm going to ask Siri for you guys. Hey Siri, what is endometriosis?
The definition of the word endometriosis is the presence of endometrium elsewhere than in the lining of the uterus, causes premenstrual pain and dysmenorrhea.
Okay, maybe that was easier for me to explain. So basically it just says that in your lining of your uterus, it causes menstrual pain, and some word I don't even know what that means. So just a lot of pain, which I'm surprised that the doctors didn't notice or think that I would have had endometriosis in the beginning before the whole pre-cancer, because, well, it basically means to have really bad period pains. So with that, around that exact same time, I was just in pain still. It was all around the same time. I think it was almost immediately after. It was maybe like 3 months where I kept going to see the doctor after my leaps and everything was done. And I don't know if they missed it. I just don't know how they could have missed it. But I do know that I did see a different doctor. I'm not sure if they wanted me to see somebody else, like referred me elsewhere, or if I wanted to see somebody else. So I went to see a private doctor. It was in a different city, and not in a hospital, but more in like a clinic setting, more intimate. And this doctor is known for endometriosis and cancer, things like that. So I went in there blindly, just keep my mind open, and she looked at me and said, you have endometriosis. There's no doubt about it. So I want to tell you guys something that most of you guys know, if not all of you. Your ovaries are pretty much separate, and they are, you know, in your abdomen, or not abdomen, but lower down. And I will post a photo here so you guys can see what not endometriosis, but what your ovaries look like and what you look like down there. Your cervix, your uterus, and all the female anatomy. So with that, I'm now going to be posting another photo of my uterus and my ovaries. This is an actual photo from a camera taken of my actual organs. And as you can see, my ovaries were touching each other and my uterus was touching my ovaries. They're not anywhere close to one another. It's like a triangle shape, and there was no shape. They were all touching one another. They were kissing. So that was horrible. And with that, my doctor, my personal doctor, who was amazing, said I had the worst case she has ever had in her time as a OBGYN gynecologist. She's also a surgeon, so she did my surgeries. She said that she's had some really bad cases and she's seen and worked with bad cases, but I was the worst case. She goes, I do not know how the other doctors had not seen this, because this has been going on for a lot longer than you probably could think of. Probably when you were in your early teens it was developing, and it just got worse and worse, and my ovaries just kept going closer. Now what you don't see in my photos are that my ovaries obviously weren't here. They weren't touching like this. They had actually flipped like this, so they were on top of one another, and they were moved up. So wherever they were in your, down here, they had kind of moved up closer to my stomach. They weren't in my intestines or anything, but it had moved up. So did my uterus. It was all just tangled up. And we needed to act fast. So I had a hysterectomy done at the age of 25. 24, 25, I think 25. Either way, it was only a year apart, but I believe I was 25. and I had a hysterectomy. This hysterectomy happened just a few months after all the pre-cancer stuff was happening. And they took out my cervix and my uterus. They cleared everything out, and they said that when they went in, they found another like 4 or 5 cysts. Pulled those out. I was clear, and I should be good to go. So I thought. About 11 months later, well, actually less than that, more like 2 months later or so, don't remember the exact time, I was having the exact same pain. I was waking up cramping, excruciating pain, like the pain I had when I was a teenager, all the way until that very day, as if like the doctors did no surgeries for me whatsoever. I went back to see the doctor, and she was in shock. And she says that my ovaries have now basically moved back to where they were, and they're kind of on top of each other once again. And they said, or she said, that I also have a cyst now on my ovaries, when the other ones were like on my uterus or my lining or cervix, stuff like that. This one was, these 2 were on my ovaries, 1 on each ovary. And I think, let me just check real quick, I think one was 2.2 centimeters and one was 2 centimeters. And the doctor explained to me that an ovary is about that size. So I had essentially 4 ovaries. And so I want to post a photo of something I drew out years ago, and it's basically the female anatomy, and then there'll be 2 like red X's on the ovaries because my ovaries weren't there, and then I'll have a picture of like 2 cream color circles above each other. That's where my ovaries were, and then 2 brown circles, which will show you where my cysts were. So I'm gonna post that again here, either on a split screen or on the main screen. So that's what it looked like. And because I was so young, she knew that I needed to have a full hysterectomy and take out my ovaries. But because I was so young, she didn't want me to do it right then and there. She wanted me to have a chance to have a child. I told her I wasn't planning on ever having a kid. I don't care for children like that. And she pushed me and pushed me. She said, all right, let's do the surgery. Got me in, like I went into the doctor's, whatever date, was fairly quickly because we couldn't wait any longer. And I put on my ugly little hat, and I wore my dress, and I'm sitting there in the pre-op room. And she goes, I'm gonna keep coming in here. We're not gonna put you in surgery just yet. Like, you're not gonna like get too sick from being here and waiting for the surgery for a few more hours, because we really want you to think. Like, we could wait a year. Like, you should be okay in a year, and maybe you could have a child. You having a child is not going to be as easy because of all that's happened throughout the years with my stomach, or not my stomach, with my female anatomy down there. But you could still probably have a child. Just think, you're really young. You may change your mind, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. And I told her, just take the shit out. Like, I'm in so much pain. A child to me is not worth the pain that I've been going through since I was 12 years old. And she goes, or if you want, put your eggs in ice. That'll take like, a month or 2, and then we can do it. She goes, and you'll be fine still then. I go, you just told me I'm young. Do you have the money to put my eggs on ice? Because I sure don't. If I did, I may have done it just, like you said, just in case. Or maybe I could even help out another woman who wants a child. Things like that. But I don't have that money, and my family doesn't have that money to help me. So I was so adamant. I was like, I really am getting tired now. Like, let's do the surgery. Did the surgery. Everything was clear, and I am endometriosis free. I no longer have to get pap smears, things like that, unless there's a real reason, like something's down there is like really, really bad pain. I don't get my periods anymore ever since I was 24 when I originally had my first surgery. or 25, because they were 11 months apart. I think they might have been even in the same year that I had 2 partial hysterectomies that became a full hysterectomy. So no pain. Typically, I have some like abdominal pain. No periods, and I do have to take estrogen the rest of my life to help with not getting any manly facial hair, you know, help with like hot flashes, the whole menopausal thing. And I do want to say that I haven't regretted it. I think the older I get, the more I look at like a family with a child, like, oh, the baby, I just want to dress them. The whole like, you know, when you're a little girl thing, like I want to dress them and feed them, but I honestly don't want kids. I wouldn't mind adopting a child and finding a child who is older, which is probably good because most people want a child as their infants, and I probably don't. But I'm not gonna get into that. The last thing I do want to say is that my last hysterectomy, I don't want to go into full detail. If you guys have any questions, I might be able to do a whole video based about that, or about this, but I was 4 days into my hysterectomy, well, longer than 4 days. It was like probably 8 days. 4 days you have to be in the hospital, and then you leave. So I was in the hospital for 4 days each time. I went home, and it was St. Patty's Day. Me and my ex went out. I was able to walk, but you know, slowly. I couldn't really dance because I had stitches on like a 7-inch scar on my stomach. They went through the same incision both times, so I didn't have 2 scars. And we got attacked at knife point. Like a scalpel to my ex's throat. I was screaming, I bolted, I felt really bad, this whole thing. I ran, jumped a fence that I see to this day, and I know I can never jump, so adrenaline really kicked in. I called 911. My ex was a trained fighter, technically killed the person who attacked us, but they lived. They died 4 times in the ambulance and 6 more times or so at the hospital, had many different surgeries to their face because my ex got them in the eye, inside the nose, everywhere. And there's a whole story with that, the backstory, what happened to the guy, everything. So we were attacked at knife point, and I really feel like, sorry, my nose is itchy, that I am a real survivor, because not only did I survive pre-cancer, like right there at the nudge of being a SIN 3 to a full-blown cancer, and then endometriosis, almost pretty much twice, and all these surgeries at such a young age. I then encountered someone trying to steal money from us at knife point, and then surviving that, and things like that. So, you know, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my story and another diagnosis series, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.